as well. Taylor says, my girlfriend cheated on me and it's tearing me apart. We are trying to work on it and fix our relationship. I feel as if she is my soulmate. What do I do about moving forward and having peace of mind and peace of heart? Please respond. I could use the help and advice. This is not a simple question to discuss it in one shot, but I can just touch on it and then we go to the other questions. You know, unfortunately, we seem to be looking at life one-dimensionally. Everybody believes what they see, what they touch. They think what they are, what life is all about physical connections. Yet we all know that this physical connection is actually one of the main reasons, that is one of the shortcomings that why relationships don't work, because they only rely on the physical connections, and anything physical in this world has a limited duration. It cannot attract you forever if it's only based on physical, because the physical attraction is only good enough for that initial attraction, which invites you to get to know each other on a consciousness level. And if the consciousness level has not had the opportunity to get to know each other and bond and come up with coordinated and harmonized order in life, by understanding each other's consciousness, then it will not work, because that physical attraction will run off. As the beginning of physical attraction is a joy. When you see someone that you really like, it's an amazing feeling, and then the thought comes into the picture and says, oh, I like this girl, or if you're a girl, I like this boy, or whatever. You say, I like this girl, and I want to have more of it. First when you meet her, you're excited, physically attracted, and it's joyful, you're happy, and then the thought comes to the picture and says, I want more of her. I want it to be all the time. I want it to be permanent. So the joy, which is a temporary situation, you try to turn it into permanent. So impermanent turning into permanent, which then it's not a joy anymore, you turn it into pleasure. Once you turn a joy into pleasure, then it's a gateway to boredom. It's like, as I mentioned in one of my videos, it's like you see a butterfly flying and it's very happy, you get happy, elated because of all the energy and beauty of this butterfly. Then the thought comes, I want to have more of this feeling that I just got by owning that butterfly. So you grab the butterfly, you put it in a net. Now the butterfly is not flying anymore. You turn the joy of seeing the butterfly fly into pleasure of having it. And now by having it, it becomes something that you no longer consider it joy, because you possess it. Now it's no longer that butterfly in its own domain in doing what it does. It no longer has that energy to extend, and you have turned that momentary energy and beauty of joy into pleasure by wanting to own it and having it, and now no longer you crave for it that much, and at the same time you want other pleasures, because human being wants pleasure, but not this pleasure because you already have it. So no longer it's going to be satisfying you with that feeling, elation, feeling of joy. So if you don't get to know each other's consciousness, the pleasure that you receive from each other's physical attraction and connection, which began by being joy, turns into pleasure. And when it turns into pleasure and it's only physical, then it becomes boredom, because through the time that you guys had the chance to use the time of the attraction, physical attraction, and get to know each other on consciousness level, you guys didn't. And you think by going to another pleasure, because then your joy became a pleasure by being together and not focusing on getting to know each other on consciousness level and making a deeper relationship, then it just became a physical pleasure, and that became a boredom, and then she or you want to go with another physical relationship for pleasure, because you think you're bored here, therefore there's something wrong with the person. So you may have to find another person through a physical relationship, thinking that the physical relationship is what life is all about and where your happiness resides. Therefore you jump from one pleasure to another when it becomes bored, and you think that's how you can actually feel better and feel more, because we are all conditioned to be more, and thinking by having a girlfriend and having maybe more girlfriends, you're more. So when you can't make it work with this girlfriend or with this boyfriend, you turn on to somebody else because you think that's how you can be more. All of these are just physical way of living. And physical way of living is always limited and never is going to be as deep and exciting as you want it to be when your relationship is based on building something together. A good foundation needed for building something together. And that foundation is by understanding each other's consciousness. Each one of us in the consciousness level are put together differently. When you are born, you get to see your parents, how they deal with you, the society, the aunties and the teachers and the communities and the religious background and the customs and tribal traditions and so on. The things you read, the things you see, the videos, the movies, the newspapers, the books, places you go, people you meet, all of that, and the experiences and knowledge you gather in your consciousness is the content of your consciousness, which forms your consciousness. And each person's consciousness is different. That's why when you get together, you have a different norm and different order in life according to the knowledge and experiences and information you have in your consciousness, and the other person has a different order. And when you get together, these orders need to understand each other. That takes time. But if you only rely on your physical attraction and neglect getting to know about how the order of this other person, the consciousness of the other person is, then you will not have anything to keep this relationship together, because after a while that physical attraction, which was joy, has turned into pleasure, and that becomes boredom. Then you jump to go to another pleasure, and that's why you think you're doing the right thing and there's something wrong with your relationship. Of course, if you tried to get to know each other on consciousness level and it didn't work, well, okay, that's the time to separate and move on. But if you haven't, but you think by changing the girlfriend or the boyfriend, have another sexual or intimacy with somebody else, that will make you feel like you've arrived to happiness or accomplished something, well, that's never worked. And you'll be going from this branch to another, this physical intimacy with the other one and the other one and the other one, thinking that's where the happiness resides, and that will show you if that's the right choice or not. The physical intimacy and attraction and pleasure is never a solid foundation to tell you if that person is the right person for you or not. There's a lot more to it. So I hope that is something that you can think about, and it's a long subject, lots into it. I just made it short for our conversation.